Tonight we are pleased to be joined by the owner of Polished Social Image Consultants, Samantha Von Sperling. Samantha helps improve people with their lifestyle and image and more graceful social and dining habits.
She's here tonight to speak about business etiquette. By definition, etiquette is how one handles oneself around others, an everyday issue that most people don't even think about. Thank you for being here, Samantha.
My great pleasure. Thank you, Rodney.
First of all, can you please tell us a little bit about your business? What does the image consulting do?
Sure. At my company, Polished, what I do is I give people the skills they need to handle themselves graciously and gracefully in any social situation and enhance their lives by enhancing their social skills. Some of the range of topics I cover are interview skills, dining etiquette, business etiquette, conversational skills, general etiquette 101, dressing, makeup, ballroom dancing, all the old school stuff, if you will.
And why do you think it's important for someone to know and pay attention to etiquette these days?
Well, one would never want to accidentally, unknowingly offend someone else because of a lack of knowledge.
And would you say etiquette is the same as being nice? For example, can you be a good person and still not follow etiquette?
Oh, certainly. I mean, etiquette and knowledge of etiquette and being a good person is not one and the same thing. However, the basis, the foundation of all etiquette is to treat people with the respect and the courteousness that you would like to be treated with yourself.
And how do you judge business etiquette in general these days? There's so much technology out there that people seem to be getting ruder and ruder in their so-called personal interactions.
That's an excellent question. I think that technology is moving so quickly now that frequently the methods we have to communicate change faster than the code of etiquette to go with them. For example, 20, 25 years ago when cell phones were a rarity, it might not have been common knowledge that it was rude to speak on a cell phone in the middle of a busy restaurant.
Sounds like you're having fun with your job. How much do you enjoy it?
I have a blast, actually. Because I could be helping somebody with their table manners for an important 5-course dinner for their company 1 minute and helping somebody prep for an interview the next.
Was this what you wanted to do when you got out of school, or did you have a different career in mind?
That's actually a really good question. I was an educational theater major and a speech communications minor, and captain of NYU's ballroom dancing team at one point. So I actually went into the world for theater, but through the great privilege I feel I've had in my education, what I do with Polished is a culmination of my lifetime's work, really.
And what business etiquette blunders are you most offended with the most?
The most. Bad table manners, number one. Second most offensive to me is when people call my office and launch into a tirade of questioning without first introducing themselves to me on the phone, because then it puts me in the awkward situation of having to wait until I can get a word in edgewise to say, absolutely, certainly, but may I have your name first, please? That's my two probably largest pet peeves, and the mispronunciation of people's names.
And what kind of advice do you have for recent college graduates about to enter the workforce?
Well, the most important thing is to decide in advance what you think you'd be happiest doing. Because if you're happy and feeling fulfilled in what you do, you're going to be a much more agreeable person to work with. Do your research, be prepared, have an impeccable, typed, clean, professional resume. When you make the appointment, don't tell them what your schedule is. Ask them when it is convenient for them. to interview you, come 10 minutes early, come dressed impeccably. If you're not sure of what the corporate culture or the dress code is for that organization, it's better to err on the side of overdressed, so no one will ever hold it against you for wearing a suit. And then I think it's important that you keep in mind that the interview starts once you enter the building, because you never know who you're going to be riding the elevator with.
So what would you say some of the common mistakes that people first make when they enter the workforce?
Well, I'd say that etiquette blunders made by people just entering the workforce are pretty much the same blunders that people who've been in the workforce make. However, I could make a gross generality here and say that I do notice younger people getting out of college making more frequent etiquette mistakes, but I think that's because our educational system has placed so much emphasis on technology that people are losing interpersonal skills.
What about thank you notes? Should they be sent by email or handwritten? What's your take on that?
That's a good question. It has to do with the corporate culture. For example, if you are a software engineer and it's a very casual culture in the office, software engineers amongst themselves might prefer email. Sometimes a typed letter is more appropriate. However, if somebody does something nice for you individually, then it is always appropriate to send a handwritten note.
And do you think it's ever okay to put someone on speakerphone?
There are only two times when it's acceptable to put someone on speakerphone. The first is when you've been put on hold, and so you're on speaker waiting till the person returns to the telephone to resume the conversation, and then you take them off speakerphone immediately. The second time when it's acceptable is when that is the agreed upon mode of communication prior to that conversation, for example, a conference call.
What would you say about cell phones these days? A lot of people have them. You hear the ringtones everywhere in the city.
Yes.
When is it most appropriate to have a cell phone? When is it not appropriate?
Well, it's not appropriate to answer your cell phone in a restaurant or when you are in a public place where the tonality is generally quiet. However, there are some instances and some businesses where that is the line of communication, is the cell phone. So you want to have it on vibrate rather than a loud ring. When you're walking down the street, it's okay. When you're by yourself in your office, it's okay. It's not okay when you're in the middle of a conversation with somebody else over coffee at a cafe, then it's not appropriate.
And say if a potential employer doesn't call back, would it be okay to call them first?
Absolutely, definitely. It shows initiative on your behalf by taking charge and doing a little return follow-up phone call. Absolutely.
When's the best time frame? Would you say during a week or a couple of weeks if you don't get a phone call back?
I would give it 10 business days.
And how about gum chewing?
Never.
In public?
Gum chewing is really never appropriate. However, if you must chew gum, it should be in your own personal time, like you're alone in your car, in your room, alone in your office with no one else around. And if you are going to chew gum, chew with your mouth closed.
And lastly, what's your one best piece of advice you would give to those who want to follow rules of etiquette?
My best piece of advice. If you are uncertain that you have a command of all social skills, then you should either, one, if it wasn't a part of your education, for whatever reason you didn't receive these pieces of information, you can consult a book or you can consult an expert like me.
We'd like to thank you, Samantha, for being here tonight.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
And if any of you would like to contact Samantha, you can reach her at her company, Polished Social Image Consultants. The number is 617-388-6697. And once again, that number is 617-388-6697.
Of course, on the web at www.socialimage.com. That's www.socialimage.com. Well, thank you, Samantha, for your great insight into etiquette and how it can be handled in today's society.